Welcome to Your Infinite Health. Are you getting older?
Are you feeling it?
How would you like to do that in reverse?
We're your host,
Dr. Tripp.
and Lene.
We've run an integrative medicine practice for 13 years.
Together, we have 60 years of combined experience helping clients.
We've helped tens of thousands achieve success in health and live longer, happier lives.
In this show, we'll cover peer-reviewed and evidence-based integrative approaches to creating the health you've always wanted.
We also share professional experience we see in the field every day.
So if you're ready to feel, look, and live your best life, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health podcast.
What's going on, Tripp?
Hey, Lene.
Did you have a good week?
Had a great week.
It's work day, and Wookie is a silky terrorist. So we brought him, so you might hear him in the background. So there's a dog here. I have a joke.
No.
I know, you didn't see it coming.
No, I didn't see it coming here.
How does a computer get drunk? Don't spend too much time, Tripp.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell me.
It takes screenshots. That was cute. Listener, I got pulled over. Tripp's been making me drive to work and back so that he can do Duolingo. He's obsessed. It's a problem. So he made me drive, and I was getting onto the interstate. So getting off the exit, and there were stupid slow people in front of me. And so I really wanted to get around them. And so I pulled out to speed up to get around them. And then when I looked in my rear view mirror, it felt like that the people coming from behind me were like really screaming. And so in my mind, I was like, I really got to ramp it up and get around these people so that I can get out of the way. I'm going to get run over, and I'll be darned if one of those people running up behind me, I thought was a cop. I got pulled over by a cop in an unmarked car. It was a beautiful blue Dodge. And when the lights went on, it was just so pretty. But I got pulled over. I was going 86 in a 70. And is there a reason why you're speeding? And I'm like, I'm just trying to get with the flow of traffic. And he laughed. And then, so he gets my information, and we're standing on this bridge. It's windy, it's loud, it's scary. I told Tripp to tell the kids I love them if I died. And so he comes back, and I was like, actually, I was trying to get out of the way of cars coming up on me. And he's, yeah, no, you flew by me. You passed me. And I was like, oh, oops. So anyway, I've got a ticket sitting on my desk, and I'm scared to find out how much it is. And that was the highlight of my week. But the next highlight is this guest that we're about to bring on. I think you're going to really enjoy it. His name is Levi Jaeckel, and he is coming to us out of Tampa, Florida. He started Perform 24 to help people use their physical routines as a foundation for success in all areas of life. And after working with some of the best professional athletes in the country at EXOS, EXOS, sports performance training facility in Dallas, Texas, he was recruited by Tampa's top strength coach to work with his team at their facility. Today, Levi has built a community at Perform 24 that embraces fitness as a gateway to a more balanced lifestyle. His team of coaches specializes in everything from weightlifting to weight loss, and we're really excited to have him on today. All right, Levi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Are you you're in Tampa?
We're in Tampa. Yep.
Nice. My daughter lives in St. Petersburg. I was
Oh, yeah,
visiting.
no, that's great. Yeah, St. Pete is great. That's a great place to live. Tampa's a great place to live too, but there's a lot going on in St. Pete too.
Yeah, it's fun. I want to have you share with the listeners about how you came to be doing what you're doing with Perform 24 and what inspired and motivated that life choice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let's see. We launched in 2014. So this will be this summer, late summer, fall will be year 10 for us, which is pretty crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's pretty crazy actually thinking about that in that context. But yeah, prior to that, I was an athlete kind of growing up. I went to the University of New Mexico to pursue athletics and going into that scene. I'm from like a really small town in Farmtown, Iowa, just,
Oh, wow.
out in the middle of, out in the middle of nowhere, no exposure to any cutting edge anything other than maybe agriculture. We're the last to
Corn.
know. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, we were the last to know everything, whether it was technology or medicine or anything like that. But ended up going to school at the University of New Mexico and I got introduced to a formal training program for my first time there with the strength coaches, with the athletic program there. And so that kind of introduced me to the world of strength and conditioning. It influenced my education path as well. So ended up pursuing exercise science in school. And then, following that, I knew that was what I wanted to do. I didn't know how that was going to look. And a career in strength and conditioning is an interesting one. And ultimately, long story short, I went to an internship right out of school in Dallas with a company. They were going through a rebrand at the time, but they're called EXOS, which they're a really high end elite training facility. A lot of people will consider them the gold standard for human performance. Exclusively trained pro athletes there. We did a lot of NFL, MLB, professional golfers, Olympians of all kinds of different sports. And so right out of the gate, I got the exposure to this like really high end, cutting edge training methodology and system. And that has ultimately led to what we're doing now. And what we're doing now, my roots are obviously in sports performance, and we still do a lot of that. So we still work with professional athletes, but then we work with a lot of local Tampa adults as well. And so we run the gamut. We don't have a population niche at all. We work with all kinds of different people, and we get all kinds of different people in our door that are either chasing some type of goal or trying to fix some type of problem. And so they usually will fall into one of those two camps. And we've worked with a lot of people over the years. We've worked with a lot of people over the long term too. So I think in the medical profession and in the medical side, you don't see your patients too frequently. Like a lot of our clients will go to their doctors, to their medical professionals every few months or something like that. But we're seeing our clients multiple times a week over the course of 6-7 years. And so we've got this different finger on the pulse on how to change your physical capacities and physical abilities and physical baselines over the long term through those experiences. And so that's what we're doing now.
Let me back up. How did you get from Dallas to Tampa?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was recruited out of that program. So it's one of the few, like I say, kind of gold standard private sector training operations. And so that opened a door to come work for a coach here in Tampa. And he was another private sector guy that had an extremely impressive book of clients. He was working with the top of the top. And so he brought me in to help him, and that brought me to Tampa. Yeah, and then it is a nice place to live. So once I got here, I ended up
Forget Idaho.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Good.
We're sticking here. Yeah, he did end up relocating. So he moved his operation a little further south, and I didn't really have much here at the time, but had a few, like a handful of local people that I had met, and I decided that I'm going to keep doing my thing. And we started. I was a one-man operation for a long time. I went through, of course, like the personal side is obviously a big part of this story too. But I was a single one-man show. I was just basically a trainer and built a book of business. Did have pro athletes even then, but again, just working a lot of the local adults. And I think one of the big parallels that we draw is that sports performance training, there's like an underlying theme of general functionality and general health that has to be applied even to the high level performing and competitive athletes. If those athletes aren't healthy, they're not going to be competing, and they're not going to be useful for their team. And in some cases, they might not even be making any money. If they're sidelined with injury, that's a big problem. And when programmed with that in mind, it is helpful for the pro athletes, but it's also really helpful for just regular people like us. And so that's how we draw that parallel between the sports performance side and the general local Tampa adult side. But yeah, I was a independent contractor at another facility for a year, and then we got our foot in the door on our own space, and we worked that for a long time. Yeah, got married. So then I
Now
was
you
a
really have to
single.
hustle.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Things change. And so then it's like, all right, like I'm a one man show, but I can't be there all the time for that. And so we started hiring a coach, and then we had our son in 2018, and that requires more evolution. And then we had a daughter in 2020, and things just changed. And then last summer, my wife left her corporate job. So she was in a corporate job for almost 15 years, and she left that and came on board with us full time. And that has really been an inflection point for us. She's really good at what she does. And yeah, anyway, she's been like fuel to the fire, literally like gasoline to this whole Perform
That's
24
awesome.
thing. So yeah, we're just out here doing it.
Yeah. Okay. So you talk a lot about foundations, and that's your starting point for somebody looking to onboard with you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure, again, in the medical field, like you guys have your own eval system, right? And you've got your own information gathering process, whatever that process is. But in the training world, those systems we went through a few iterations of that idea basically, and what we developed. And again, this actually does draw back to my wife Jessica, but she really pushed us to redesign our eval process, and what we built was foundations. And foundations is a 4-session eval. So from our side, it's from our side, and then there's the new client or the new athlete side to foundations as well. But from our side, we built a 4-session, we call it like a mini phase. It's like a mini training phase. It's scripted, but it's scripted in a way that shows us a ton of their physical abilities, limitations, capacities, strengths, weaknesses, all that stuff. And so we take them, they think that they're just coming in for a training session, which they are, but underneath the surface, we're really evaluating their movement patterns, their postural tendencies, their muscular function, their conditioning capacity, all that stuff.
The
And so,
SAT for the body.
yeah, exactly. And we're coaching them up the whole time. So it's definitely not like we just let them loose in the weight room and just watch what they do. We're pretty hands-on with this. And yeah, we're taking them through methodically all of the major movement patterns. And of course, that does include like a squat or a hinge and deadlift pattern, an upper press and an upper pull and all those things. But it also will evaluate their single leg movements. And so their lunge patterns, their lateral lunge patterns, their rotational patterns. So we throw some small med ball progressions into that as well. And so a lot of mobility movements are programmed into that. Again, the client thinks that, oh, like this is just a nice hip stretch, but we're actually looking at this as like, I don't know, their hip extension is actually not very good. And so that's a note that we then take, and we'll use that note later. But yeah, but foundations, it's a great step one. They get to feel us out. That's a big part of this too. They've got to enjoy coming to us. If they're going to get any benefit out of their training, they need to enjoy spending time with us. It's a good system, and it's a good way for them to experience the weight room, experience our systems, experience us as coaches. And then, like I said, from our side, we're like really getting a lot of helpful context on where they're at physically.
So do you record those foundation sessions, and then as they progress, do they see that, and can they like evaluate? Is there a tracking method for improvement?
Yeah, so we do some baseline strength testing. Again, it's very passive. They don't necessarily know that, hey, this is your like test. Because as soon as we tell them it's a test, it changes what they're going to do. They're not just going to move freely.
Right now they become more self-conscious, I'm guessing.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, all of a sudden they're trying to put out for the test, and that's not really the point. We want to observe true baselines. And there are Yeah, we do some standard strength testing, some standard mobility and flexibility testing, but it is done under the scenes or behind the scenes.
Okay, okay. And so then once somebody goes through the foundation, then you what they reevaluate, decide if it's going to be a good fit, and then you tailor. Do you do a more tailored program for them to get them from where they are to where they want to go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we build everything beyond foundations is a true custom program. Of course, there are themes that are similar through most of our programming, but everybody's program from then on changes. But again, it- there the range of people that we work with is really unique. We work with, like, just for an example, we've got our pretty highly competitive, like amateur competitive athlete in right now. She's in her mid 20s and she competes in some of the common like fitness competitions. And that's definitely not our specialty. Like those competitions aren't what we specialize in, but that's what she's going for. And we're applying some traditional strength and conditioning and athletic performance development to her program. But then we've got another adult. He's 67 years old. He plays tennis 3 times a week. He travels to surf, and
Wow.
that's what he wants to do. And he's also got, I think, the worst. He had a failed shoulder surgery that then led to 3 subsequent shoulder surgeries,
Ouch.
and his right shoulder, which is his serving shoulder, is the worst shoulder we've ever seen. And so, like, those two individuals couldn't be further apart from their program design. And yeah, but that's what we do. And so, foundations is tweaked a little bit to the individual as they're going through this, but then from there, the path that we take is endless.
Fascinating. So you really have to do research on the fitness competition to like tailor that program and seems like you'd have to kind of
Yeah, yeah, and in that sense, she's pretty highly trained, and we take their previous training history into consideration as well. And so somebody that's got a regular training routine, they know maybe what works and what doesn't work for them already. And so we try to piggyback off of those previous experiences a little bit. Obviously, we've got our own spin on things that maybe we'll circle back to, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she's a fun one because this is different. Like, it's a puzzle. For us, there's a phrase that we use, and you could definitely apply this to the medical field as well. But like, good training and good medicine is really just problem solving. What's the problem that we have? And what are the pieces that we might be able to spin or manipulate and click into place over here that'll help that person? So the more complicated the puzzle, I guess the more we get enjoyment out of it because it's fun.
Yeah, I know Trip really likes the complicated cases as well.
Yeah, they're more time consuming, but the reward at the end of the day is it's worth it always.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm sure that the lessons that you learn end up getting applied down the road anyways in a
Right.
different way. And so it's a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah, I think when the using we use obviously the physical component to do our optimization program, and those things it's probably nowhere near as comprehensive as what you do. In fact, I'm sitting here thinking about how much more detail and how much the our current collaborators differ from maybe your program, because it sounds quite comprehensive what you're doing. 4 days evaluation, even though it's under the radar, so to speak, sounds like it's very detailed, and at the end result, as long as the individual has that end image in mind, then and you can identify with that image, then going for that, the more information you have, obviously the better. What we do on top of that, obviously, is we do the metabolic and hormonal and physical biological optimization at the same time. I guess the end result we see is sometimes just we'll have people come in wheelchairs, and you probably have that too from time to time. and we'll end up with and then in 6 months or so, depending on what the challenges are, they'll be ambulatory, looking at increasing that to maybe jogging or cycling or other things. And those are the results that I love seeing, those, and seeing the change in their energy levels and how it affects them. It's not the level, obviously, of a professional athlete, but the reward going from somebody who can't do much to somebody who can do comparatively phenomenal things is really cool.
And that brings up this other question I had. So you also work with people like that guy with the shoulder damage. So
Mhm.
helping people get past their injury, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we get a lot of we deal with a lot of injuries. And you were talking about the example that you were given was progressing somebody through a training program with the end in mind. And yeah, we work with a lot of people that are either battling injuries or maybe even we get a lot of referrals from physical therapists, from clients that have completed their PT protocols, but maybe they're still not quite there. So sure, they passed the test, but there's still work to be done. And so we get a lot of those clients that find us as well. And yeah, I guess when we're working with those guys, we'll make progress and we'll accomplish the goal. And okay, our tennis player can still play tennis 3 times a week. And is it shoulder function perfect? No, but it's still functional. It doesn't keep him sidelined. It's definitely improving. And it's just, yeah, I guess it is keeping him in the game. We've had a lot of success stories like that. We had a lady that, and she was, so she was in her late 50s, but she came to train with us because she knew she was going to have knee surgery. And so she wanted to build up before the surgery, that was a really smart decision.
Very proactive thinking on her part.
Yeah, very proactive. So we started training and strengthening her lower body and kind of getting her ready. And then it ended up, you know, come to find out she needed 2 knee surgeries. And yeah, so she had bilateral knee replacement simultaneously, had them both
Oh
done.
my gosh.
I know, insane. And that's what she wanted to do. That's how she wanted to do it. All right. So we trained for that and we built up a margin for her to then go through that big physically stressful process. And then we started training with her after she was done with her PT protocol again. And so we have those types of stories as well. And yeah, it's super rewarding though. People that are, I guess maybe the one of the differences between the physical training that into the spectrum that we're on the medical side is that we expect our clients to do the work and make the change. And there's an understanding there that, yeah, we'll build the roadmap, but you're the one that's going to have to walk it.
Well,
Um,
in our practice, that is
Uh,
the same thing.
love it.
We got the
Love it.
tools, but you got to put them into play.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so really getting people to start taking an ownership of their health as well as their physicality.
Our initial, and not to detract from your program, the very initial thing that I do with them is I sit down with them for about an hour and guide them through this process of creating what we call the successful health image. And that's
Hmm.
taking all the parameters taking all the challenges they have and all the problems that they've identified that they want to get rid of, and then actually honing in on what they actually want to create for themselves. And so it gives them that image that they can focus on and that metric they can focus on to make sure that the steps they're taking are achieving the outcome they want. And is really, before I started doing that, it really wasn't done. And
Yeah.
it's the outcomes have been so phenomenal.
Well,
Yeah.
when it comes to exercise, I think it's not as hard to convince somebody to do the work because in that scenario, nobody else can do crunches for you.
Right. Yeah.
That's gonna give you a ab.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
the paradigm in medicine has been, oh, you go to see the doctor, there's a problem, he gives you a pill or sends you for a procedure, right? And that paradigm is still virtually every patient I see has that. It's the same mindset. Oh, can I just take a pill?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, it's your job to fix me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know we have a phrase and we'll say it every day. It gets said, somebody will say it, whether it's one of our coaches or a client or an athlete or something. But it's the funny thing about the weights is that they don't lift themselves. But you have to do it. And like that, and that is a very strong theme for us. But it applies. And as you guys know, the movement component is on the individual, it's on the client, it's on the patient. The movement side is, and again, we talk about this a lot, is that there's so many different variables in all of our lives, right? We've got all these different inputs that we're all dealing with. Like every single person we work with is super busy and they've got a lot of responsibility going on in their life. But the only thing that you have full control over is your own movement. It's your own movement habits. And so you don't control all of your work. You don't control your relationships. Like you don't control your family. That's a two-way street. You're only half of the equation in your own household. You don't have full control over anything other than how you train, when you train, where you train. You can always find a way to move.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep. So yeah, that's a big one. But yeah, no, we see a bunch of different people in different stages of life. And I think that's what makes what we do interesting day to day.
yeah. Do you offer any virtual training programs or everything's on site?
So everything's on site for right now, which we're so weird about this, to be honest. We haven't dabbled at all in the digital space, even to the point where when our clients come in to train with us, we have a physical pen and paper and clipboard program that we take our clients through.
Analog over there.
Super analog, exactly. And there is an element of intentionality there, which when our clients are physically writing their weights down on their program, I think that does reinforce the dynamic that we're talking about on like the self-sufficiency side of things. And the digital side, though, we've talked a lot about foundations, specifically how we could get foundations out just for people to go through. People could go through foundations on their own, and it would probably have to be a video series of some kind. But yeah, I would like to do that. This spring, so we just renovated a 98-year-old warehouse and then moved into it. Yeah, so we just launched in our new location on June 1st. So it's brand new to us. It's definitely not brand new in the grand scheme of things, but it's brand new to us. And that was a huge effort on our side. But now that's behind us. Yeah, we're talking about what's the next project that we want to tackle. And some of these online avenues are in that conversation.
Okay, cool. We'll have to stay tuned on that and see where that goes.
Love it.
What is one thing you'd like the listener to know?
Oof, man, that is a great question. I would say the biggest thing is that I'm strangely agnostic on the type of training that you do. I think that there are a lot of really good coaches that get a lot of great results from a whole bunch of different training methodologies. And so I don't think it matters how you're training quite as much as it just matters that you're training. Find something that you like. If you like it and enjoy it, you're going to stick with it. And I think that's encouraging. You don't need to do a specific type of high intensity training or a specific type of group training or a specific type of personal training. It just matters that you're moving regularly and every once in a while you challenge yourself.
That's cool. I like that. Where can the listener find more about you?
Yeah, let's see. I would say we're pretty active on Instagram. So the Perform24 Instagram page is pretty active. I think that's probably the best place to start because from there you'll find other digital avenues.
Okay, cool. A listener, I'll have that in the notes somewhere. Levi, thank you so much for taking time and sharing with us. It's really exciting what you're doing over there in Tampa.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, listener, hope you found this educational, informational, somewhat entertaining. And until next time.
Thanks for subscribing to Your Infinite Health. I'm Dr. Tripp.
And I'm Lene. Until next time, feel it, look it, and live it.